In this week's parsha, we learn about the Metzora and all of the intricate details about how a Metzora needs to purify himself, the different types of tzaras, and of course, Rabbi Avroham explained that the tzaras that we're talking about is not leprosy; it's a skin disease or any type of growth, whether it appears on the wall, whether it appears on the clothing, whether it appears on the body. That is a direct message from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do tshuva. It is an incredibly kind wake-up call that obviously it's not pleasant to have happen, but it's when you think of the alternatives, it's an incredibly kind wake-up call to tell us there's been some dipping of your spiritual level, there have been some mistakes you've made. This is HaKadosh Baruch Hu reminding you, please do tshuva. That's clearly what Rabbi Avroham says in terms of the whole concept of tzaras, which is incredible in its own right, just to sort of contemplate how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares about us, and He will deliver a personalized message, literally to our door and to our wall and to our clothing, and it's all a process, because He says it starts in the wall. If you do tshuva, fine, then all is good. If we don't do tshuva, then the tzaras moves into our clothing. And then if we don't do tshuva, the tzaras moves into our body. And even within our body, there are different levels, different stages, and different degrees of the extent of the tzaras. So it's really remarkable how much forbearance HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in waiting for us to do tshuva. But what's really special in terms of the Rabbi Avroham's message is that he says that while this was the process that actually took place, when you look at the Torah and you look at the Torah's delineation of the sequence of events, it says just the opposite. It doesn't say it in the way it actually took place. The Torah starts off in the most severe tzaras, the one most embedded into the body, and the one that's, in a sense, the strongest level, and from there it gets lighter and lighter, and it ends and it culminates with the tzaras of the wall, which is really the one in the sequential order came first. So why would the Torah reverse the order? Especially when you consider that the order is really very critical. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I'm going to start a little bit further away from you, and I'm just going to tell you please do tshuva. And if you don't do tshuva, it's going to get worse. And then it's going to get worse. And it's a pretty powerful message of recognizing the fundamental relationship we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's begging us to do the right thing. And He's telling us, if we don't do the right thing, then there's a problem. So, Rabbi Avroham gives an incredible answer. Why would the Torah not write it in the order that it was actually occurring? And he says, because the Torah's ways are beautiful. The ways of the Torah are pleasant. The pathways are one of peace. And the Torah did not want to deliver sort of that negative message of doing tshuva in a sort of onerous kind of way. There is something sort of frightening and scary about the fact that things are going to get worse and worse and worse. Apparently, HaKadosh Baruch Hu felt, I'll hopefully get the message, but if I deliver it in a softer way, where things are actually getting better than opposed to getting worse, well then it might come across a little nicer. It's more of a derech noam in the way that I will receive it than if it came across in the way it actually took place. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, the Torah, according to Rabbi Avroham, is switching the order, and it to some degree somewhat misleading us in terms of how things actually took place. For what purpose? For the sake of fulfilling a concept of derech noam. It moves and deviates from the truth. In order to deliver this message, there's a certain way that we have to conduct ourselves. Our ways have to be pleasant. Our communications have to be sweet. We have to always find a way to enhance peace within our relationships within the world, and not anything the opposite. And therefore, even though it's really not the way it actually went down, and maybe you're not going to get as much of a direct, strong message, hey, get your act together and do tshuva, which is ultimately what this is all about. Apparently, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is feeling, you know what, for me to deliver the message of derech noam is even more important. I'm willing to sacrifice the actual truth of the sequence and the strength of the message for even a more important message, says Rabbi Avroham. The message of let's have all our relationships be beautiful. It's an important thing to remember at this particular time. We're all hunkered down in our homes. We might have one too many people in our home. And obviously, if we have one, then we're working on our sanity, not necessarily working so much on shalom bayis. If we're alone, unfortunately. But if we're not, and if there are many people in the house, and it could be two or more, sometimes a lot more, there are challenges. And there are certainly times when maybe things could sort of get frayed our nerves and maybe get us somewhat disjointed. But if remember this chazal, if remember this beautiful Rabbeinu Bechaya, how important it is that is the essence of the Torah. That is the philosophy that we have to embrace in everything that we do. If we can bring that message to our Shabbos table and to our day-to-day challenges that confront us within our homes nowadays, especially nowadays, it's true always, but especially nowadays, Bez Hashem will be a tremendous chus for us. We are all looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. We see it a little bit, Baruch Hashem, things are getting better. We have to reinforce not only our commitment to follow the guidelines, which are critical, but to follow the Torah guidelines of our everyday behavior and to fill this beautiful mandate of and that's chus, Bez Hashem. We'll have peace in our families. We'll have gesund, the chamas in Yeshua's vegans Klai Yisrael. We'll see an end of all the tzaras, and we'll see Bez Hashem. We'll be zoich the bias Mashiach. Meher Yemenu.